Welcome, Class 5 learners, to today's Explainer. We are about to dive into the incredibly vibrant and totally wonderful world of frogs. We're going to explore a fantastic poem, learn some cool new vocabulary, solve a couple of grammar puzzles, and even discover some amazing facts about other aquatic animals. So get comfortable and let's jump right in.
Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to the pond. Take a look at this bright green frog just sitting so peacefully on the rocks right by the water. Notice the tall green grass, those gentle little ripples in the pond, and how perfectly at home our frog looks. This right here is exactly the kind of vibrant, colorful habitat we're going to be exploring through our poem today. Our poem kicks off with these lines. I sit in ponds and in the rain, or hop about in a muddy drain. Imagine that gentle rain falling, the water sparkling, and our little frog just sitting happily on a big green lily pad. It perfectly captures that cozy, wet world that frogs absolutely love to hang out in.
Now, before we move on, let's quickly unpack a couple of great words from those first lines. First up is hop, which simply means making a short, bouncing jump. It's literally exactly how frogs get around. Then we have muddy, which describes something covered in wet, sticky earth. So when the frog hops in a muddy drain, you know it's just happily splashing around in the wet dirt. The poem then gives us a fascinating peek at a frog's life cycle. It says, as a tadpole, I swim with cheer, a tiny fish-like thing so clear. I flick my tongue to catch my food, it works so fast, now that's quite good. It's just wild to think that this leaping adult frog started out as a tiny, clear swimming tadpole. And then it grows up to have this super fast tongue that can catch its dinner in the literal blink of an eye. Next, the poem highlights one of the frog's absolute coolest abilities. I live on land and water too, in places damp with drops of dew. This makes frogs amphibians. That means they have the special ability to live in two completely different environments. They can swim gracefully in the water and then do just as well thriving on the green land right next to it.
Let's look at two really descriptive words from that stanza. Damp and dew. Damp just means slightly wet, and dew, that refers to those tiny, fresh drops of water that form on cool surfaces overnight. So picture an early, fresh morning where the grass is damp with dew. That is precisely the kind of spot where you'll find our frog hanging out.
Understanding how unique this lifestyle is really makes you think, doesn't it? What would it actually feel like to live like a frog, both in water and on land? Imagine waking up, taking a morning swim, and then just hopping right out onto a warm grassy bank. It's basically like having the best of both worlds.
But living this dual lifestyle requires some pretty clever survival skills. The frog tells us, my colors match the plants and trees, I hide so well in grass and leaves. This is all about camouflage, right? Because its skin is green and spotty, the frog blends seamlessly into its surroundings, becoming nearly invisible in the dense green grass.
So why does it need to hide so well? Well, the poem explains. But snakes are near, I must beware, or else they'll catch me unaware. I croak my songs, they sound so loud, yet in my pond I feel so proud. To beware means you have to stay alert to danger, like a sneaky passing snake. But even with those risks, the frog proudly sings its song. And to croak is to make that deep, rough signature sound that frogs are so famous for.
Before we finish up the poem, let's use our imaginations again for a second. If you could hop as high as a frog, what fun things would you do? Would you jump right over fences? Or maybe hop up to pick apples straight from the highest branches of a tree? The sheer energy and power of a frog's jump is just something really special.
And that brings us to the joyful peak of our little story. The frog declares, I hop around, I jump so high, up I go into the sky. It paints this incredible picture of the frog springing up into the air, soaring against a bright blue sky with absolute ease. The final lines reveal exactly how the frog moves so beautifully in the water. With webbed feet I swim with ease, and leap so high in joyful breeze. This is an absolutely crucial physical trait. Having webbed feet means the frog's toes are connected by thin folds of skin. It essentially turns their feet into perfect built-in swimming paddles.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is a question from your textbook's critical thinking section. It asks, how are frogs' webbed feet similar to the flippers used by scuba divers?
Think about it for a second. Scuba divers wear those wide, flat rubber flippers to push more water so they can swim faster. Frogs are just naturally born with those flippers. They use that wide surface area to glide smoothly through the pond.
All right, now that we've thoroughly explored the poem, we're going to transition into the Let Us Learn grammar section. I've got a visual puzzle for us to solve. We're going to take some jumbled up words and rearrange them to build complete, correct sentences. Are you ready for the challenge? Let's do this. Here is our first set of jumbled words. We have hunts, night, the, silently, tiger, and at. Okay, let's piece this puzzle together. First, who are we talking about? The tiger. Right. And what does the tiger do? It hunts. How does it hunt? Silently. And finally, when does it do this? At night. So, you put the whole shebang together and you get, the tiger hunts silently at night. Excellent work.
We have one more grammar challenge to tackle together. The jumbled words this time are elephants, in, forests, live, large, groups, and in. Let's break it down again. Our subject is elephants. What's the action? They live. How do they live? In large groups. And where is this happening? In forests. So the unjumbled solved sentence is, elephants live in large groups in forests. See? When you break it down step by step, it makes perfect sense.
Next up, you get an opportunity to be super creative with your very own Frogs World art project. There are 4 simple steps to follow. First, you'll draw the setting, maybe a pond or a lush forest. Second, draw your frog inside its new home. Third, decorate your artwork with some of the descriptive words we learned from the poem. And finally, add a bunch of vibrant color to really bring it all to life. Now, during this art project, your teacher is going to read out some specific instructions. The absolute key here is to listen closely to the details. They might ask you to add specific things like tall trees, splashing water, or maybe even the frog's fast-catching tongue. Listening carefully is going to make your artwork incredibly detailed and unique. And this brilliantly illustrates how everything in nature is connected. Our little pond frog is just one small part of a much larger aquatic world. In our Did You Know section, we're going to shift our focus to India's national aquatic animal. Anyone have any guesses what it might be? It's the absolutely magnificent Ganges river dolphin. What is truly, truly fascinating about the Ganges river dolphin is how it navigates. Because river water is often really murky and muddy, relying on sight just wouldn't work. So instead, this dolphin uses a highly complex system of sounds and echoes to find its way around and hunt for its food. It's just a spectacular natural adaptation. The underwater world is quite literally full of surprises. The Let Us Explore section of your book lists several other really fascinating aquatic animals you can look into. You've got the pufferfish, the starfish, the jellyfish, the octopus, the seahorse, and the catfish. Every single one of these creatures has unique traits that are just as interesting as our frog or the river dolphin. Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. I want to leave you with a bit of a challenge. Which 2 of those amazing aquatic animals are you going to explore next? Pick 2 of them, do a little bit of research, and see if you can uncover a few cool facts to share with your friends or classmates. Keep being curious, keep asking questions.